Look at that, that is absolutely stunning. That is a simple pork tenderloin with a cider apple cream sauce. Just look at that. That is sensational. Come on, what's the point in going to a restaurant? Hi everyone, welcome to Backyard Chef. I'm Rick. Today, pork tenderloin in a creamy apple hard cider sauce. Little bit of mustard in there. Sounds posh. It is posh, but it's very easy to make. So let's get on and do it. On here, pork tenderloin, and I've already taken the silver skin off. Now what we have to do is cut this into medallions, and you always get this scrag end at the end, and it always thins down there. So we want about 6 pieces. So if we just come in there like that, okay, and then we can just split this into, so that wants to be, because it's thin, we're going to come a bit more on there, look, and then we'll just come in there. Okay, that's all we're doing. We want that like that. And what we're going to do, we're going to put this under cling film, and we're going to give it a little smack with a hammer. Okay, we just want some little medallions. So again, we can have that there, look. And then we're going to come in on this raggy end here, look. There's always a raggy end on there. Don't worry about it. Okay, so we've got 6 little pieces there, look. So we want to be taking a little bit of cling wrap over there. Nice and steady like that. Now people say, why do you put cling wrap over? Well, you put cling wrap over so you don't splatter the meat juices all over your kitchen. Now, take a hammer, a meat hammer or a hammer, doesn't matter. Now we don't want to whack the heck out of these, we just want a little bit down on there, that's all. Pork tenderloin is a very, as it says, a tender meat. So you don't need to whack the heck out of it, you know. Don't need that. Okay, what we need to do is salt and pepper that. We need some seasoning on there. So it's a steady one. You either salt and pepper this or salt and pepper it in a bowl. It is entirely up to you. Whatever works for you, whatever's easier. Okay, so we want a little bit of salt. And you can season this with anything, to be quite honest. You know, you can put paprika on here, anything. So we got a little bit of salt and pepper there, look. Let's flip it over. And we're just going to put a little bit on this side. There we go. A little bit of pepper. Now we want to dredge that in flour. So take yourself a bowl. And you can put flour in here, or you can just put your pork in here and chuck the flour over it. It doesn't matter. So we want a little bit of flour in there. I'm going to dredge that in there, look. So by seasoning the meat and then dredging it in flour, you've actually got the seasoning on the meat. There is absolutely 0 point in dredging it in flour and then seasoning. Absolutely 0. So we got that on there, look. I'll just wash my hand. So it's a steady one. We want some oil and some butter in here. We want to sear the pork. So we're going to sear it and take it out. It's only going to be a couple of minutes on each side. So I'm just going to peel these apples while we're stood here. Peel and quarter some apples. Okay, nice little one of those, and we want to be going in there with our pork. Nice couple of minutes sear on both sides. Fabulous. Look at those. Beautiful. Another couple of minutes on this side, we whip those out. So we've had a couple of minutes, that'll do. Just going to kill the flame a second. Those beautiful pork medallions out of there into something and cover. They are going to keep cooking nice and gently in there. They're going to be nice and soft. Cover with anything. All this in here, look, you decide, do you want that? I don't want all that bits of gunge in there. That's coming out. Okay, it's your choice. I want to cook some apples and I don't want to cook it in all that pork gunge. So we're just going to go back in there with a little bit more fresh butter. Only a little bit because we have enough going on there, look. Nice little swizzle whizzle. Apples in, nice and steady. Colour. We're going to colour these all the way round. And we're using big chunks of apple, but you know, the quarters obviously. But you could use thinner sliced if you want. It's up to you. But we want a chunk of apple in there. Just turn them over. Let's get some colour all the way around if we can. Oh, they're looking smart. They're looking fabulous. Nice little bit of charring on there, look. There you go. That's what we're after. Now, we're not trying to cook this to mush either. We want texture in here. It's an apple. We're not making an apple sauce. We're just putting a little bit of golden on the outside. We want a little bit of crunch in there, you know. That is fabulous. Absolutely fabulous. Look at that. That's what we're after. Okay, let's just turn that flame off a second. We're going to push that to one side so you can see. I'm going to take the apple and it's going in a bowl. Okay, so in here. And again, we're going to cover this in a second. Let's just put that to one side. We want some lemon and we want some honey. And we want a knife. Okay, want a little squirt of lemon over there. That's going to give us that nice zingy tartness in there. And we want to go in there with a little bit of honey. Now you can even use maple syrup for this. Not to worry. A little bit of honey there, look. And then we're just going to give it a little mix up. So give that a little mix over. And that is a nice lemon honey dressing on those apples. Okay. Take something to cover it with. Cover one side. So what we're going to do now is just give this a wipe out. Now be careful, it's still got some oil in here and it's still hot. But we're making a sauce. I don't want any burnt bits in here at all. Nothing. Okay. There you go. We've got a nice clean pan and we've got all that muck. There you go. So you decide whether you're going to go oil, butter or just butter. In there. Butter. Don't have to go too hot with this. We're going to fry some onion. I've got some red onion, but you can use shallot, you can use white onion, it doesn't matter. You want a little bit of something going on in there. So let's just give that a little saute. We want to get this translucent. We're not bothered about burning it or tinging it or anything. If you get a little tinge, that doesn't matter, but don't burn it. Now you could have left all the bits in here and just deglaze this pan. I prefer not to, okay? Up to you. There we go. They're looking a bit special. Okay, we're going to build this up in there. Now if you have fresh thyme, use fresh thyme. Okay, that is just a little bit of dried thyme. I'm going to hit that up with a little bit of pepper. And we might need to season it again afterwards. Just give that a little one of those. We're just blooming that dried thyme there. To start off with, get that aroma in there. Okay, you need to be taking your hard cider. Take the top off. You want about 200 mils and there's about 330 in here. But put it all in, it doesn't matter. We're going to reduce it by half anyway, so that's going to give us a nice flavour and cook off the alcohol. And of course, for all the people who are not going to want to use hard cider, you can use an apple juice. There you go. And now we want to go in with some chicken stock. Get your chicken stock in, made out of a cube if you want, or if you can have homemade. Chicken stock in, again, we're going to reduce it. We're going to cook this for about 4 or 5 minutes. We're going to add our mustards, cream, and then we're going to chuck the pork back in here. It's such a steady cook, this one, you know, and you get a fantastic restaurant quality dinner at home. And there's not much work involved in this. Okay, turn down the heat. In there with some cream. In there with about a teaspoon of Dijon. And in there with about a tablespoon of whole grain. Just give it a little gentle stir in. Just give it a little minute and we're going to return our pork to this. So you decide how thick you want this to go. This wants to come a little bit thicker than this. It's a little bit watery. And we want to nestle our pork back in there. And you can nestle in the juices if you so wish. That's up to you. A little bit of juice there, look, that can go in. Give it a little cooking in there. When you've got this nice sauce coming on there like that, look, in there with your apple. Return those apples. They're actually warm, but now the juices that's in the tub, keep. We are going to drizzle over. Now all we're doing is warming those apples, okay? And there you go, we've got this fabulous dish here. I mean, this is super quality. This is restaurant stuff, you know? And you've made this at home. No hassle at all. So we're ready to serve up, really. So let's get served up. I'm going to take some of that creamy sauce there, look, on there. So you decide which way you want to do this. You can either go pork, apple, whatever, okay? I've got a little bit of that honey drizzle which I'm going to just put on those apples. And we're going on there with some green beans. Now you could neaten it all up if you wanted, but I'm not going to bother. A little bit of butter, a little squirt of lemon, freshen them up and leave the lemon there. And you can take as much sauce as you want and drizzle over there. Look at that, that is absolutely stunning. That is a simple pork tenderloin with a cider apple cream sauce. Just look at that. That is sensational. Come on. What's the point in going to a restaurant? There we go. Come on, look at that. That is a fantastic meal. We've got these beautiful apples, look. Nice caramelization, little bit crunchy still in the middle. Oh yeah. Fabulous. Our pork tenderloin, and this is a butter knife, look. So this is going to go straight through here. Look at that. Turn that round. You got beautiful, look at that for moist, beautiful cooked pork. Come on. That is absolutely outstanding. That is bringing the restaurant to the home. That is unbelievable. There you go, that is so easy. Anybody can do this at home. Put a posh meal on the table. Pork, apples, apple cider, bit of mustard, bit of cream, match made in heaven. Serve it with some nice buttery mashed potato and some green beans. So there you are, that is a nice, steady restaurant quality meal that you can make at home and enjoy. Put it on the table with your guests or just for yourself, posh nosh. There you go. Share with your friends, tell them how easy it is to make this pork tenderloin with a cider apple cream sauce. And if you like what we're doing, big thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, ring that bell, and we'll catch you in the next video. That is amazing.